The message arrived on a Tuesday. At the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Dr. Alan Wright stared at his monitor in disbelief. The signal pattern was unmistakable, not random, not natural. It came from beyond our solar system. Within hours, NASA confirmed what everyone suspected: first contact with an alien civilization. 6 months later, Earth prepared to meet the Zortellians face to face. Their massive ship hung in orbit, gleaming like polished obsidian against the stars. Every nation sent representatives, but the primary team consisted of Captain John Miller, a decorated Navy officer with a calm demeanor, and Dr. Lisa Brown, a brilliant physicist with 3 decades of experience. "Remember the protocols," Miller said as their shuttle approached the alien vessel. "No sudden movements, maintain eye contact if they have eyes, and let Dr. Brown handle the scientific discussions." Lisa nodded, clutching her tablet. "I've prepared translations of basic mathematical principles. It should give us common ground." The docking procedure went smoothly, surprisingly so. The Zortellian ship guided their shuttle with precision that made Earth's best systems seem clumsy by comparison. When the airlock opened, they faced the Zortellians for the first time. The aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. Their eyes, 3 of them, blinked horizontally instead of vertically. "We welcome you," said the lead alien through a translation device. "I am Ambassador Kron of the Zortellian Confederation." Miller stepped forward. "Captain John Miller of Earth. We come in peace and friendship." The tour of the Zortellian ship revealed technology beyond human comprehension. Doors opened with mere thoughts. Displays appeared in mid-air without projectors. Food materialized from nothing. "This is quantum manipulation technology," explained a Zortellian scientist named Vex. "We've mastered it for over 5 centuries." Lisa showed them Earth's latest quantum computer designs. The aliens exchanged glances. "How quaint," said Vex, making a sound like bubbles in water, apparently laughter. "You still used physical processors. We abandoned those generations ago." "Our technology serves us well," Lisa replied carefully. "Of course it does," said Ambassador Kron with what seemed like condescension. "Just as stone tools once served your ancestors." The pattern continued throughout the meeting. When Miller demonstrated Earth's communication systems, the Zortellians seemed amused by our reliance on satellites and radio waves. When Lisa explained our medical capabilities, they appeared shocked we still used physical instruments for surgery. "You actually cut people open?" one asked, visibly disturbed. "We haven't needed such barbaric methods in millennia." During a private moment, Miller whispered to Lisa, "They're treating us like children." "Worse," she replied, "like amusing pets." The diplomatic meetings continued for weeks. The Zortellians established an embassy on Earth, but offered minimal technological exchange. "Your species isn't ready," Ambassador Kron explained during the final session. "We've seen what happens when primitive civilizations acquire advanced technology too quickly. It never ends well." "We understand your concern," said Miller, though his tight jaw suggested otherwise. "But we hope to prove ourselves worthy partners." "Perhaps someday," Kron replied with that same condescending tone. As the Zortellian delegation prepared to return to their main ship, they left behind communication equipment and a small team of observers. "They're not here to help us," Lisa told the president later that evening. "They're studying us." "Like specimens in a lab?" the president asked. Miller nodded grimly. "They see us as primitives. Our technology, our methods, they find them amusing at best, pathetic at worst." "Then we'll need to change their minds," the president said. "Establish a special committee, Dr. Brown. Find ways to adapt our technology for potential defense. I don't trust their intentions." As the meeting adjourned, none of them could have predicted how valuable Earth's primitive technology would soon become. 3 years passed since first contact with the Zortellians. What began as peaceful, if condescending, relations had slowly soured. A faction of the Zortellian Confederation called the Vraxian Unity had established mining operations near Jupiter without Earth's permission. Diplomatic protests went ignored. Kate Wilson worked in the human embassy on the Zortellian homeworld. A keen observer with a background in anthropology, she noticed patterns others missed. During a power outage caused by a solar flare, she witnessed something strange. The normally composed Zortellians became agitated when their systems failed. They don't just prefer their technology, she reported to her superiors back on Earth. They depend on it completely. When their quantum systems went offline, they had no backup plans, no manual overrides. Her report landed on Major Frank Powell's desk at the Pentagon. Powell, a military strategist with a passion for history, found this information fascinating. Their technology is vulnerable to electromagnetic disruption, he explained to the Joint Chiefs. And guess what we humans still use? Plenty of non-electronic systems, mechanical devices, analog technologies, things they consider primitive. General Harris frowned. You're suggesting we fight an advanced alien species with outdated technology. That sounds like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Major. With respect, sir, it's more like bringing a knife to a fight against someone who's forgotten knives exist, Powell replied. Their weakness is their belief in their superiority. The room fell silent. The idea seemed absurd, but desperate times called for creative thinking. 2 weeks later, a small skirmish erupted near Europa. 3 Vraxian ships confronted a human research vessel. As tensions escalated, Communications Officer Ben Rogers made a split-second decision. He switched from digital communications to an old ham radio system they kept as backup. The results were immediate and unexpected. The Vraxian ships' targeting systems malfunctioned. Their quantum communication network experienced disruption. Something about the radio waves interfered with their sensors, Rogers reported afterward. They couldn't lock onto us. They actually seemed confused. This small victory caught the attention of military leadership. Major Powell was given permission to form a special team to explore his theory. The Zortellians have evolved beyond mechanical and analog systems, Powell explained to his newly assembled team. They've forgotten the advantages of simpler technologies. They've become so dependent on quantum computing that they have no fallback options. Engineer Scott Davis spoke up, like how we still teach kids to do math without calculators. Exactly, Powell nodded. They've optimized for advancement, while we've maintained redundancy. The team began experimenting with various outdated Earth technologies. They discovered that spring-powered mechanisms were invisible to Zortellian sensors. Diesel engines confused their targeting systems. Simple radio waves disrupted their quantum communications. Meanwhile, the Vraxian faction grew bolder. They established a military outpost on Ganymede, clearly violating the treaty. Ambassador Kron expressed regret over the misunderstanding, but took no action to remove them. They're testing us, Powell told the president. They want to see how we'll respond. In a secure facility beneath the New Mexico desert, Powell's team worked around the clock. They retrofitted old naval vessels with mechanical systems. They restored Vietnam-era helicopter designs. They even experimented with clockwork mechanisms from the 19th century. The Zortellian observers on Earth noticed these activities but dismissed them as nostalgia. How charming that you preserve your historical technologies, one commented to a Pentagon official. Cultural preservation is important for developing species. Little did they know that what they saw as quaint museum pieces were being transformed into humanity's best hope for defense. As Powell told his team, they laugh at our primitive tech now. Let's see if they're still laughing when we use it against them. Colonel Sam Harris surveyed the bustling activity inside the massive underground hangar. What had once been a storage facility for decommissioned military equipment now hummed with purpose. Mechanics worked on World War I-era propeller planes. Engineers modified diesel submarines. Soldiers trained with bolt-action rifles. How's progress on the radio jammers? Harris asked as he approached Olivia Martinez, the team's lead electrical engineer. Olivia wiped grease from her hands. Better than expected. We've modified these 1940s radio sets to generate signals that completely confuse Zortellian sensors. It's like noise cancellation, but for quantum systems. Nearby, Daniel Clark worked on a mechanical targeting system for artillery. No computers, no electronics, just gears, springs, and precision metalwork. Looks like something from a museum, Harris observed. Daniel grinned. That's the point. The Zortellians can't hack what isn't digital. They can't disable what doesn't need power. Operation Retro, as the project was called, represented humanity's best hope against superior alien technology. While the diplomatic corps still attempted peace talks, everyone knew conflict was coming. The Zortellians think we're crazy, Harris told his team during their weekly briefing. Our observers report they find our obsession with old technology amusing. Ambassador Kron called it charmingly nostalgic in his last transmission. Let them laugh, Olivia said. That's our advantage. Tests proved promising. When Zortellian observers were invited to witness military exercises, their scanning devices failed to detect the mechanical tanks hiding in the forest. Their sensors couldn't track the trajectories of artillery shells fired from spring-loaded launchers. How interesting that you still practice with such historical methods, one Zortellian military attaché commented, his 3 eyes blinking in apparent amusement. We value our heritage, Harris replied, hiding his satisfaction. The first real test came sooner than expected. A research station on Mars sent a distress call. Vraxian ships had entered orbit and demanded the humans evacuate immediately, claiming the territory for mining operations. Within hours, Earth deployed its first primitive response team. 3 retrofitted space shuttles launched from the moon base, each carrying equipment that would have been familiar to soldiers decades ago. The Vraxians, expecting an easy victory, were unprepared when their targeting systems failed to lock onto the approaching human vessels. Their quantum communications became garbled with static from simple radio broadcasts. Their sensors couldn't penetrate the hulls of ships protected not by energy shields, but by layers of simple cork and rubber. What is happening? The Vraxian commander demanded as human shuttles approached unhindered. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Vraxians, unable to effectively target the human ships, retreated in confusion. The Mars research station remained secure, protected by technology the aliens had dismissed as obsolete. News of the victory spread quickly. The main Zortellian Confederation expressed concern over the incident, but their tone had changed. No longer condescending, they now seemed cautious. They're reassessing us, Powell told Harris during their debriefing. For the first time, they're taking us seriously. Operation Retro expanded rapidly after this success. Old military bases reopened. Retired soldiers with experience in mechanical systems were recalled as trainers. Factories began producing ammunition that didn't require electronics to function. The irony is remarkable. Daniel said one evening as the team celebrated their success, they advanced so far that they created a blind spot. They forgot the basics. Harris nodded. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. As Earth prepared for the possibility of larger conflict, the Zortellians watched with growing unease. The primitives weren't so primitive after all. The warning came at dawn. Europa's research station detected 15 Zortellian battleships entering Jupiter's orbit. This wasn't just a border skirmish. This was an invasion force. They're targeting our water mining operations, Captain Pete Rogers reported from Europa Command. Commander Selter himself is leading them. Earth's Defense Council convened immediately. The decision was unanimous. Deploy Operation Retro in full force. Within hours, Earth's response fleet launched from Mars base. It was a sight that would have baffled military observers from any era. Retrofitted diesel submarines modified for space travel, propeller-driven spacecraft, and transports carrying mechanical ground vehicles. Dr. Vanessa Cooper watched from the command bridge of the fleet's flagship. For months, she had been developing specialized EMP weapons designed to exploit the Zortellians' technological vulnerabilities. "They'll expect us to surrender," she said to Admiral Jones. "Europa has our largest off-world population. They think we won't risk a fight." "They still don't understand us," the Admiral replied. As Earth's fleet approached Jupiter, Lieutenant Ryan Garcia prepared his ground forces. His soldiers carried modified bolt-action rifles with special rounds designed to penetrate Zortellian armor. No lasers, no smart targeting, just carefully aimed mechanical firepower. "Remember your training," Garcia told his troops. "When their tech fails, they'll panic. That's when we move in." The battle began with a surprising move. Earth's fleet released thousands of small, mirrored objects, simple reflectors that scattered the Zortellians' sensor readings. As the alien ships tried to make sense of the conflicting data, Earth's vessels closed in. Vanessa activated the first wave of EMP devices. Across the battlefield, Zortellian systems flickered and failed. Their quantum communications collapsed into static. Their energy weapons powered down. "What is this primitive trickery?" Commander Zelter demanded as his flagship's controls went dark. The Zortellians had backup systems, of course, but these took precious minutes to activate, minutes during which Earth's forces pressed their advantage. The submarines, powered by nuclear-enhanced diesel engines completely shielded from EMPs, fired conventional torpedoes at the disabled alien ships. On Europa's surface, the battle was equally surprising. As Zortellian ground forces deployed, they found themselves unable to track human soldiers who used no electronic communications. Ryan's troops moved like ghosts, using paper maps and hand signals to coordinate their attacks. "They can't see us," Ryan reported over a mechanical radio line that used no digital components. "Their sensors are designed to detect energy signatures, not physical bodies behind rock formations." The aliens, accustomed to fighting with advanced technology, struggled to adapt. Their training hadn't prepared them for enemies who used mechanical weapons and manual targeting systems. A critical moment came when Zelter ordered his flagship to target Europa's main habitat dome. As the massive alien vessel positioned itself for the attack, a squadron of propeller spacecraft appeared from behind Jupiter's moon Io. These craft, piloted by Earth's best aviators, carried Vanessa's most powerful EMP devices. "Deploy on my mark," ordered Squadron Leader Alice Ward. 3, 2, 1. The EMPs detonated, creating a cascading failure across all Zortellian systems in the area. Zelter's flagship drifted powerless, its weapon systems completely disabled. Ryan's ground forces seized the opportunity, boarding and capturing 3 Zortellian vessels. Meanwhile, Earth's makeshift fleet surrounded the remaining alien ships. After 18 hours of fighting, Commander Zelter sent a message using an emergency backup system. "We request cessation of hostilities." The Battle of Europa ended with a decisive human victory. 17 Zortellian ships captured or destroyed, over 200 alien prisoners taken, and most importantly, not a single human casualty. As news reached Earth, celebrations erupted worldwide. For the first time since first contact, humanity had proven itself not just equal to the aliens, but in some ways superior. They forgot something important, Vanessa told reporters later. "Technology isn't just about advancement. It's about reliability, adaptability, and having a backup plan." In his captured flagship, Commander Zelter stared at the primitive mechanical clock on the wall, now understanding just how badly they had underestimated these humans. The Zortellian High Command was not accustomed to defeat. In their war room, holographic displays showed the disaster at Europa from every angle. Commander Zelter stood before his superiors, his normally blue skin pale with shame. "They used primitive technology against us," he explained. "Mechanical systems our sensors couldn't detect. Analog communications our quantum interceptors couldn't decode." Grand Admiral Vriz narrowed her 3 eyes. "Then we will adapt. No primitive species will outsmart the Confederation twice." On Earth, Military leaders anticipated this response. In a converted aircraft factory in Seattle, engineer Paul Johnson led a team developing what he called hybrid systems, technology that could switch between digital and analog operations in seconds. The Zortellians will counter our old tech, Paul explained to visiting officials. So we'll give them a moving target. He demonstrated a rifle that could fire both electronically triggered rounds and mechanical ones, a communications device that jumped between digital encryption and Morse code transmitted through physical vibrations. Brilliant, said General Morris. They'll develop countermeasures for one approach, then we'll switch to another. 3 weeks after Europa, the conflict expanded. Zortellian forces attacked human outposts on Saturn's moons. This time, they came prepared with scanners calibrated to detect mechanical systems and shields resistant to EMP weapons. But humans had already evolved their tactics. Marine Captain Grace Howard deployed cavalry units, actual soldiers on horseback, for reconnaissance on Titan. The Zortellians, expecting machines, found their sensors completely blind to these biological units. They're looking for technology, Grace reported. They never considered we might use animals. The horses, specially bred and equipped for the alien environment, moved silently across Titan's surface. They located Zortellian positions and reported back using methods that seemed absurdly primitive. Colored smoke signals that contained coded information. When the Zortellians attacked the main human settlement, they found themselves ambushed from directions their advanced systems hadn't monitored. Elsewhere in the solar system, similar adaptations yielded results. On Mercury, humans used heat-resistant mechanical gliders to drop simple explosives on Zortellian mining operations. Near Venus, submarines disguised as asteroids approached alien stations undetected. They can't comprehend our thinking, Paul told his engineering team as they celebrated another successful deployment. Their technology evolved in a straight line, always more advanced. Ours evolved like a tree, with branches in all directions. The Zortellians weren't defeated easily, however. They began deploying biological sensors alongside their technological ones. They studied human history to understand older warfare methods. They even captured and analyzed Earth's mechanical weapons. A major setback came when Zortellian forces successfully countered Operation Retro Tactics during the Battle of Callisto. Their new anti-mechanical field generators disabled even purely mechanical devices. Human forces suffered significant casualties before retreating. They're learning, General Morris acknowledged during the emergency meeting that followed. We need to stay ahead of them. The solution came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kyle Bennett, a paleontologist by training, proposed tactics based on how ancient organisms survived extinction events. Diversity is key, he explained. No single approach, multiple systems operating independently, like an ecosystem rather than a machine. Earth forces restructured accordingly. Some units used advanced technology. Others used purely mechanical systems. Some combined both, while others used methods so ancient they predated written history. During the next major conflict near Neptune, Earth forces deployed 30 different types of weapons and systems simultaneously. The Zortellians, expecting to counter 2 or 3 approaches, found themselves overwhelmed by the diversity of methods. It's like fighting an opponent who changes fighting styles mid-punch, complained a captured Zortellian officer. As the conflict reached its 6th month, neither side had gained decisive advantage. The Zortellians had superior technology, but humans had unpredictability and adaptability. Paul watched the situation maps with growing concern. They're gathering their forces near Saturn, he told his team. I think they're planning something big. The greatest test of humanity's approach was yet to come. William Peterson huddled over his radio equipment in the darkened listening post on Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons. For 3 weeks, he had monitored Zortellian communications using nothing more advanced than modified ham radio receivers. The aliens had long ago stopped using frequencies humans could detect with conventional technology. But William had discovered something important. Their quantum communications created faint echoes in regular radio bands. It's like hearing a whisper through a wall, he explained to his commander. They don't realize we can hear them. What William discovered was alarming. The Zortellians were gathering every available ship for a massive assault. Their target, Earth itself. They're tired of these skirmishes, William reported. Commander Selter has convinced the High Command that they need to strike directly at our homeworld to end this conflict. Earth's Defense Council convened immediately. The situation was grave. The Zortellian fleet would overwhelm Earth's defenses in a direct assault. But Admiral Nicol Adams saw an opportunity. Let them come, she said, pointing at the space around Saturn. But not to Earth. We'll make them fight here, on our terms. Her plan was audacious. Earth would create the illusion of a major fleet movement towards Saturn, seemingly abandoning defenses around the home planet. In reality, they would prepare an elaborate trap. Workers converted old cargo ships into convincing military vessel decoys. Maintenance crews restored the U.S. Constitution, an actual wooden sailing ship from the 1700s that had been retrofitted for space operations, its wooden hull specially treated to withstand vacuum. The Zortellians will think we've gone completely mad, Nicol told her officers. That's exactly what we want. From the Constitution's bridge, Nicol watched as her unusual fleet took position. Solar sails unfurled from some vessels, actual fabric catching sunlight for propulsion. Others used steam-powered engines that released no electronic signatures. Deploy the mirrors, she ordered. Thousands of simple reflective surfaces spread throughout the Saturn system. Each was positioned precisely to redirect sunlight and create false readings on Zortellian sensors. The trap was set. Now they waited. The Zortellian armada arrived with overwhelming force. Over 200 warships, led by Commander Selter's new flagship, the Quantum Dominance. The humans have made a critical error, Selter told his officers. They've committed their forces to defending these worthless moons rather than their homeworld. The aliens deployed their most advanced weapons, quantum disruptors designed to break down matter at the subatomic level. Energy beams capable of vaporizing mountains, gravity manipulators that could crush steel. What they found instead were simple countermeasures that shouldn't have worked, but did. Polished mirrors reflected energy beams back at their sources. Mechanical pulleys and counterweights absorbed gravitational attacks through dispersion. Spring-loaded devices launched projectiles that disrupted quantum fields. Impossible, Selter shouted as reports of failures cascaded through his command center. These are primitive toys. The battle reached its climax when the Quantum Dominance targeted the Constitution directly. The wooden ship should have disintegrated instantly under the assault. Instead, the specially treated wood absorbed the energy rather than reflecting it. The Constitution emerged from a direct hit relatively unscathed. Return fire, Nicol ordered calmly. The Constitution's response was almost comically simple, a broadside of actual cannonballs, fired from restored 18th century cannons. But these weren't ordinary cannonballs. Each contained a mechanical timer and simple chemical payload designed to disrupt Zortellian shield harmonics. Throughout the Saturn system, similar scenes unfolded. Human vessels using technology from every era of their history, from ancient to modern, presented the Zortellians with too many different problems to solve simultaneously. After 6 hours of battle, the outcome was clear. 7 Zortellian ships destroyed, 32 disabled, the rest in retreat. Nicol stood on the Constitution's wooden deck as damage reports came in. Earth had suffered losses too, but the victory was decisive. Send the message, she told her communications officer. Use their frequencies. Tell them we're ready to talk peace. As the Zortellian fleet withdrew, Commander Selter stared at the wooden ship on his view screen, finally understanding what had happened. The humans hadn't regressed to primitive technology out of desperation. They had recognized something the Zortellians had forgotten. That true advancement means retaining the best of what came before. The peace conference took place on neutral ground, a space station orbiting the moon. Diplomat Eric Summers led the human delegation, facing Ambassador Kron and Commander Selter across a simple wooden table. The choice of furniture was deliberate, a reminder of the lessons learned during the conflict. 6 months ago, you dismissed our wooden ships as primitive, Eric said, running his hand across the polished oak surface. Now we sit at a wooden table to discuss peace. Ambassador Kron's 3 eyes blinked in what humans now recognized as a gesture of respect. We have much to learn from each other, it seems. The negotiations lasted 3 weeks. Both sides brought their grievances, their demands, and eventually their hopes for cooperation. The Zortellian High Command had been deeply shaken by their defeats. A species they had dismissed as barely space-capable had outmaneuvered their most advanced forces. Our mistake was fundamental. Selter admitted during a private moment with Eric. We saw technological advancement as a straight line. Anything behind us on that line seemed obsolete, worthless. While we saw it as a toolbox, Eric replied. Sometimes the oldest tool is the right one for the job. The treaty that emerged from these talks became known as the Saturn Accords. Its most innovative provision was the establishment of a technological exchange program, not just Zortellians teaching humans about advanced technology, but humans teaching Zortellians about mechanical systems, analog methods, and redundant approaches. Professor Linda Fletcher, who had once taught military history, now found herself instructing alien officers about siege warfare from the Middle Ages. Engineer Jack Wilson demonstrated the principles of steam engines to fascinated Zortellian scientists who had skipped that evolutionary step in their development. It's like they built a skyscraper without understanding the foundation. Linda told reporters, brilliant in many ways, but with fundamental blind spots. In return, Zortellian experts began carefully sharing quantum technology with human scientists. They approached this exchange with new caution, having seen how creatively humans could adapt technology for unexpected purposes. 6 months after the peace treaty, the first joint human-Zortellian vessel prepared for launch. The Harmony, as it was named, embodied the new philosophy of both civilizations. It contained quantum drives alongside mechanical backup systems. Its communications array could transmit using subspace methods or, if necessary, simple radio waves. We call this approach technological diversity, explained Captain Susan Mills, who would command the Harmony's first mission. No single point of failure. No single approach to any problem. Commander Selter, now serving as the Zortellian liaison to Earth, attended the launch ceremony. He watched with his 3 eyes as humans and Zortellians worked side by side, each learning from the other. I once believed your species was centuries behind us, he told Admiral Adams as the Harmony prepared for departure. Now I wonder if perhaps you were ahead in ways we couldn't recognize. The Harmony's mission was to explore beyond our solar system, carrying the first true collaboration between the 2 species into the unknown. As it cleared Earth's orbit, it sent back images of both worlds, the blue planet that had nurtured humanity, and the distant Zortellian homeworld, visible as a faint dot among the stars. In classrooms across Earth, children now learned about both human and Zortellian history. They studied how 2 very different approaches to technology had developed, and how the combination of both proved stronger than either alone. The greatest lesson, Eric told the United Nations 1 year after the peace treaty, wasn't about technology at all. It was about perspective. The Zortellians taught us to look forward to new possibilities. We taught them to remember the value of what came before. As the Harmony vanished into deep space, it carried this lesson with it, that true advancement doesn't mean abandoning the past, but building upon it. That what seems primitive through one lens might be ingenious through another. And that respect, once earned, creates possibilities neither side could imagine alone.